Greetings, and welcome back to LA Quill, where we spend an entirely reasonable amount of time inventing imaginary people, giving them childhood trauma, handing them swords, destroying everything they love, and then calling the resulting emotional catastrophe character development. Today we're talking about character arcs that resonate, those journeys that take a hero or heroine from who they are at the beginning of the story to whoever crawls, limps, triumphs, or dramatically staggers across the finish line at the end. Because a good character arc isn't simply change. People change their socks. People change their minds about whether they like olives. A meaningful character arc transforms something in a way that feels inevitable in hindsight, even though getting there may have involved dragons, betrayals, questionable prophecies, and at least one decision everyone knew was terrible, except the character making it. Fantasy writers have an especially tempting trap when it comes to character development because we have so many shiny things available to distract us. We have kingdoms, we have ancient civilizations, we have elaborate systems of magic that require 17 pages of notes and a diagram we absolutely understand, despite what anyone says. We have wars and monsters and cursed forests and political conspiracies and suspiciously attractive villains lurking in torchlit corridors. But none of those things automatically give a story emotional weight. Readers might marvel at your floating city, but they become emotionally invested when somebody they care about has something meaningful to lose when that floating city inevitably begins falling out of the sky. Spectacle catches attention. Characters give that spectacle meaning. That is really the heart of a character arc. Pressure revealing and reshaping a person. At the beginning of a story, your character enters carrying an invisible suitcase full of beliefs. They have ideas about themselves, about other people, about power, about love, loyalty, courage, justice, destiny, or whatever else your story cares about. Some of those beliefs are perfectly reasonable, and some are catastrophically wrong. Some probably originated when they were 9 years old and have somehow survived unchallenged into adulthood, which is honestly one of the more realistic things you can put in a fantasy novel. Then the story begins applying pressure. The character can either reconsider what they believe or cling to it, while the universe repeatedly hits them with increasingly large metaphorical frying pans. This is why meaningful change needs a starting point. Before deciding who your hero becomes, you need to understand who they already are. Imagine a young knight who desperately wants to be considered courageous. That sounds simple enough, but what does courage mean to him? Perhaps he believes courage means never admitting fear. Perhaps his father taught him that hesitation is weakness, so he charges recklessly into danger and gets other people hurt. Suddenly, we have something much more interesting than coward becomes brave. He may already be brave. His problem is that his understanding of bravery is incomplete. His journey could teach him that courage includes caution, honesty, responsibility, and occasionally having the good sense not to charge the dragons simply because somebody is watching. Writers often describe this starting misconception as the lie a character believes, and it can be an extremely useful tool as long as we don't assume every character needs one enormous, easily summarized falsehood tattooed across their forehead. Sometimes the lie is obvious. I am worthless unless I am powerful. Sometimes it's more subtle. If I need someone, they can hurt me. Sometimes it's mostly true but dangerously incomplete. A ruler might believe that protecting her people requires personal sacrifice. Admirable enough, until she decides that that means she must carry every burden alone, trust nobody, conceal every weakness, and slowly transform herself into the most exhausted monarch in recorded history. The interesting part isn't merely proving her wrong. It's discovering why she believes this and what it will cost her to let that belief go. The classic positive arc follows a character who eventually recognizes something broken or incomplete within themselves, and then grows beyond it. This doesn't necessarily mean they become nicer or happier, wiser or prettier, better at sword fighting, and then suddenly capable of maintaining an emotionally healthy romantic relationship before breakfast. Positive growth can be much smaller and far more meaningful. A suspicious character learns to trust just one person. A cowardly character chooses courage once when it truly matters. A bitter character discovers that forgiveness is possible without pretending the injury never happened. The important thing is that the ending represents movement. Put the character from chapter 1 beside the character from the final chapter, and we should be able to see the road between them. Negative arcs travel in the opposite direction, and they can be wonderfully painful. Here, the character is offered opportunities to confront whatever is poisoning them, and instead, they feed it. Pride becomes arrogance, ambition becomes obsession, fear becomes cruelty, a desire to protect becomes a desire to control. The tragedy works best when we can see that another path existed. If someone is simply horrible on page 1 and continues being horrible until page 400, we haven't witnessed much of a descent. We've simply spent 400 pages with Gerald, who apparently remains dreadful. A powerful negative arc lets us watch doors close one by one, often because the character themselves keeps closing them. And then there is the flat arc, which sounds terribly boring until you realize that some wonderful characters barely change internally at all. Their role is not necessarily to discover the truth. They may already know it. Instead, their conviction is tested by a world that rejects it. A hero might begin believing that mercy is stronger than vengeance, and finish believing exactly the same thing. But between those points, the story makes maintaining that belief almost unbearably difficult. The question becomes not, will the person change? But, can this person remain themselves when remaining themselves costs them everything? Their steadfastness can then become the force that changes other characters, institutions, kingdoms, or even entire societies around them. Whichever arc you choose, transformation should happen through stages. Human beings rarely receive one magnificent revelation and immediately become emotionally functional. If that worked, therapists would be able to finish appointments in 7 minutes, and every fantasy trilogy would be considerably shorter. Characters resist change. They rationalize, they improve, and then they backslide. They recognize that something is wrong while remaining completely unwilling to do anything about it. This creates wonderful opportunities for turning points. The first challenge might create doubt. The second makes denial harder. A later disaster exposes the full cost of their old worldview. Eventually, they reach a moment when continuing as before becomes impossible, or in a negative arc, when they knowingly choose to continue anyway. This is also where external plot and internal development should begin working together, instead of behaving like two strangers forced to share a horse. Ideally, the events of your story create exactly the pressures needed to challenge your character. If your heroine believes she can trust nobody, surround her with situations where cooperation becomes essential. If your prince believes authority automatically deserves obedience, strip away his title and see what happens when nobody cares who his father is. If your mage believes power makes her valuable, give her a situation that cannot be solved with magic. You don't need to announce the lesson. In fact, please don't. Nothing kills a powerful emotional moment quite like a character suddenly delivering the thesis statement of their own novel. Instead, show transformation through choices. Suppose early in the story your heroine abandons someone because saving them would jeopardize her mission. You don't need 3 paragraphs explaining that she prioritized duty over personal loyalty. We noticed. Later, place her in a similar situation. This time, perhaps she turns back. Again, no speech is necessary. The contrast tells us everything. Better still, make the second decision costly. Character growth becomes meaningful when the new choice is harder than the old one. If doing the right thing suddenly costs nothing, we have not demonstrated transformation so much as convenient scheduling. Setbacks are equally important because believable development is messy. Someone learning to trust doesn't become trusting overnight. Someone overcoming pride will still have moments when pride wins. Someone trying to abandon vengeance may discover that forgiveness sounds significantly easier when and the person they hate is not standing 6 feet away, being unbearably smug. Allowing characters to stumble keeps their development human. More importantly, these setbacks can reveal progress that the character themselves doesn't recognize. Perhaps they make the same mistake but regret it sooner. Perhaps they lash out but apologize afterward. Perhaps they run from danger and then turn around. Growth often appears first in these tiny differences before it becomes visible in grand heroic gestures. Theme can give all this transformation greater cohesion. If your story explores forgiveness, then forgiveness should probably matter to the character's deepest struggle. If your story is concerned with power, your character's relationship with power should evolve, or fail to evolve, in ways that illuminate the larger question. This does not mean every character must represent a neat philosophical position like participants in the world's most heavily armed debate club. Different characters can embody different responses to the same theme. One character forgives, another cannot. One seeks power to protect others, another seeks it to protect themselves. A third rejects power altogether. Their arcs can interact, contradict, and illuminate one another without anyone announcing, as you know, this novel is thematically concerned with the corrupting influence of authority. We know, we noticed. Fantasy gives us extraordinary opportunities to make internal struggles physically visible. A curse can embody guilt. A magical bond can force someone who fears intimacy to depend on another person. A throne can represent both power and imprisonment. A monster may reflect something the hero refuses to confront within themselves. Even magic can change alongside a character, provided the connection makes sense within that world. The danger is becoming too literal. If your hero defeats the demon of self-doubt, and then immediately develops excellent self-esteem, we may have wandered from symbolism into magical therapy. The fantastic elements should deepen the emotional journey, not replace it. It is also worth remembering that character growth does not require complete healing. In fact, insisting that every wound must disappear can make an otherwise beautiful arc feel strangely false. A warrior who has survived terrible things may still carry fear. Someone betrayed by a loved one might learn to trust again without becoming effortlessly trusting. A ruler who once failed her people may forgive herself while still remembering the consequences. Transformation does not erase history. The person at the end should contain the person from the beginning. Their scars, their memories, their habits, and their old instincts remain a part of them. What changes is how they understand those things, and what they choose to do when those old instincts return. This is one reason sacrifice can be such a powerful test of an arc. Near the climax, characters often face a decision that forces them to prove what they have become. The selfish thief gives away the treasure. The ambitious prince refuses the crown. The frightened farmer stands between the village and the monster. The hardened warrior chooses mercy when vengeance is finally within reach. Those moments resonate because hundreds of pages have prepared us to understand exactly what that decision costs. To everyone else, dropping a sword might be easy. For this particular character, in this particular moment, it might represent the hardest battle they have ever fought. And that brings us to one of the best ways to evaluate an arc. Look at the beginning and the ending together. Ask what choice your character would make in the opening chapters. Then ask what choice they make near the end. Why is it different? What happened between those moments that made the difference believable? If the answer is essentially, well, by chapter 37, I needed them to stop being so selfish so that the plot could work, we have discovered a problem. The plot should not suddenly require a character development. The plot should create it. Every major experience should leave some mark, even if the character spends half the novel pretending otherwise. The same principle applies to relationships. Other characters are often mirrors, irritants, temptations, and occasionally emotional battering rams that make transformation possible. Give your hero people who challenge the way they see themselves. Someone might believe in them before they can believe in themselves. Someone else may exploit their worst tendencies. A rival might expose their hypocrisy. A friend might finally refuse to tolerate their behavior. A villain can even represent the logical endpoint of the hero's current path, the person they might become if they never change. Relationships make internal conflict interactive, and interactive conflict is considerably more interesting than 40 pages of someone staring moodily into a fireplace. Ultimately, the arcs that stay with us are not necessarily the most dramatic ones. They're the ones where we understand why the change matters. We remember the queen who finally asked for help because we know how fiercely she once guarded her vulnerability. We remember the knight who chose mercy because we watched vengeance consume him. We remember the mage who willingly relinquishes power because once, power was the only thing that made her believe she mattered. The external action gives those moments scale, but the internal journey gives them weight. The dragon can be enormous. The army can number 50,000. The fate of the kingdom can hang in the balance. But the smallest human decision may still be the thing that breaks our hearts. So when you are building your next hero or heroine, don't begin by asking only what adventures they will have. Ask who walks into this adventure in Chapter 1. What do they fear? What do they misunderstand? What truth are they avoiding? What do they desperately want, and what do they actually need? Then start designing a journey that forces those answers into conflict. Give them victories that reveal their weaknesses, failures that expose uncomfortable truths, people who challenge them, choices that cost them, and enough room to occasionally make an absolute disaster of everything. We are talking about fictional people, after all. Making terrible decisions while insisting they have everything under control is practically part of the job description. And when you reach the end, ask one final question. Could this version of the character have existed on page 1? If the answer is no, but you can trace every scar, every choice, every failure, every revelation, the friendships, betrayals, and hard-earned lessons that created them, then you probably have something powerful. A resonant character arc does not simply move someone from point A to point B. It makes us understand the road. Better yet, it makes us feel the road. For a little while, we traveled beside them, and somewhere between the cursed forest and the inevitable catastrophic confrontation, their journey became ours too. And that's our tale from L.A. Quill today. Tell me in the comments about a character arc you've written or one you've read that stayed with you long after the story ended, and what made that transformation feel so powerful. Until next time, may your stories always be magical.